Well, that was awkward. This is a good time to mention to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, because it's right at the start of the video. My recording software had apparently crashed, and I just never noticed. Always awkward when that happens. So here I am down in my mine. I grabbed a bunch of the pumpkins. I'm ready to craft a bunch of lanterns out of the pumpkins. I dragged a bunch of materials down from the surface to help me better operate and function within this mine. Cave noises. Gotta love those sound effects. They're really rather elegant. A little bit creepy, but mostly just elegant. I like them. But yeah, the silverfish are now all taken care of. I went ahead, mined out the emerald that was over there. I mined out the area around where all of the silverfish was. I'm pretty sure I wiped out the entire silverfish nest this time. Finally. I do want to collect all of this ore. I did manage to use up a lot of my ore. Oh my. But I did manage to use up a lot of the cobblestone that I had on me because I was filling in all of that area around the silverfish. So as a result, I finally have inventory space because I'm not carrying like 8 stacks of cobblestone. Which is good, you know. You don't really always want to carry a lot of cobblestone. The only reason why I was holding so much cobblestone was specifically because of the fact that I'm down here hunting silverfish, while also, of course, gathering all of these ores. Speaking of silverfish, hi, silverfish hole. There's gotta be silverfish. Yep, right there. Okay. I was like, there's gotta be silverfish down here. Turns out, yes. Yes, there is. I'm standing right next to it. You see what I mean? He just instantly phased back in to whatever block he could. Which is why you want to wipe out all of the blocks around the silverfish. And here's the dead giveaway of what's a silverfish versus what's not a silverfish. This is not a silverfish. As you can see, it takes quite a long time for me to break it. That's cobblestone. Here's stone. Little bit less time, still takes quite a long time. Then we have this silverfish. Watch this. Boom. Done. Now, I know there's a silverfish right here, and you could see the silverfish. He did not leave his little sanctuary. However, his friend got him in a lot of trouble because his friend did leave his sanctuary. And the reason why I'm using my hands to beat them up is specifically for the purpose of... Yeah, see, there's more of them in here somewhere. These things can easily become just this convoluted, complex cave network. Yeah. That's the reason why I'm down here with so much cobblestone, is because I'm taking out all of these bad guys. Because all of these guys are digging out beneath my mine, taking out all of my resources. I don't think they can infest an ore block, but they can infest all of the stone surrounding the ore block, and then make it so that it's very difficult for me to reach that ore block. So I still don't like them because of that. At least because of that. What? Oh, you little crafty son of a gun. Okay. So that's level 20. I just hit level 20. I also just lost a piece of armor. What piece of armor did I lose? My pants. So I have no pants on now. There's an image. The irony is I'm doing some of my best work with no pants on. I bet there are plenty of people in the world who wish they could say that every day. Matter of fact, I know there are some people who say that every day. But, you know, that's for mature audiences. We're not interested in that here. We're interested in wholesome, regular old Minecraft. And this random block of diamond that's appearing in the bedrock layer. Jeez. My lord. Why? Why in the bedrock? Okay, well, iron pickaxe. Let's go. Just one? That's it? Oh, cheap. Okay. But yeah. So I don't really know how much of my previous conversation was recorded. Probably none. But I was talking about the Greek gods and how basically the majority of the Greek mythology is just Ouranos, also known as Uranus, or if you're childish enough, Uranus. But Ouranos, the god Pluto, was the original god in Greek mythology, and the children of Ouranos all basically suffered the same fate because they were just too much like their father. They were too much like their parent, which, you know, was not very well behaved. Ouranos was not a nice guy. Ouranos was not a good creature to befriend. If you knew Ouranos, you probably were not a very friendly person yourself. That being said, if you knew Ouranos, you probably were Gaia. Mother Earth. The general story, little crash course for you while I excavate this entire place. The general story behind Oranos is rather straightforward. The god of the sky, Oranos, was this great big powerful dude who was all mighty and stuff, and he had this really great wife who was very kind, compassionate, understanding. It was Mother Earth. It was Gaia, the Earth itself. And so he would, of course, make love to the Earth. He would make love to Gaia whenever he pleased. This, of course, did not always sit well with everyone, and as a result, there was a plot devised to, simply put, castrate Oranos. They wanted to stop Oranos from being Oranos. They wanted to stop him from being this bad person. So they castrated Oranos, and then they killed him as a result. They were just like, you know what? I really don't like this guy. So they killed him, and then they were like, well, now what do we do? So from Oranos' blood arose these demigods, these children of Oranos, as it were. And these children were very powerful, like their parent, Oranos. And then because they were so powerful, they ended up being quite difficult to teach how to properly behave, causing them to, of course, behave similarly to their father or parent or whatever you want to call them. They behaved similar to Oranos, which was not good because, as I just mentioned, a lot of people didn't like Oranos, and there was a plot devised to, castrate Oranos, which, if you're not familiar with what castration is, it's where you take your reproductive genitalia and you remove it. In a usually irreversible fashion. So he was not going to have any more children ever again, except in this instance, theoretically, Oranos bled to death. If I had to guess and piece together from the mythos the sequence of events that unfolded, I would assume that what happened was Uranus was probably a much closer planet way, way back then. However, there was likely a impact where something streaked across the sky and slammed into the planet, which then sent the planet into the outer orbits where it currently resides. Considering the fact that we still have no idea how they built the pyramids of Giza, I would assume that that is actually a rather likely scenario, as, building the pyramids of Giza requires basically the knowledge of creating cement, which we have no idea how the Egyptians would have had that knowledge to this day, because we barely know how to operate cement. We do know that really, God, there's more silverfish around. We do know that the various aspects of technology which a lot of the civilizations of the past had access to, we have no idea how they knew so much, because a lot of our people today still don't really know that stuff. That being said, things like the thousands of pyramids all over the world, pointing across all of these ley lines, these energy nodes, and these energy transfer points that are located all over the planet, are very capable of generating more power than nuclear power plants when things are activated and running. We have no idea how they accomplished this. We have no idea how these pyramids were built. And a lot of historians are way too shy to admit that they have no idea how this stuff operates. You know, they're way too shy. They're way too prideful. They'll just tell you, oh, well, you know, they moved it with slaves and they had a lot of hired help and all this. And it's like, yeah, okay, they had all that. But how do you factor in that they needed to place roughly one block every, like, few seconds if they were to meet this deadline that you're setting? They're like, and they just can't give you an answer because they just have too much pride to say those three little words that apparently guys just have so much difficulty saying. Sometimes girls have difficulty saying it, but people just have so much difficulty saying those three little words. I don't know. You know? A lot of people, they don't study the past. They don't speculate about the past. They don't think, you know, what could the past teach me? What could something so small, so unchanging teach me about the future? And yet they forget that the majority of what they learned was because they were able to study the past. They were able to study how things operated. They were able to study science. They were able to study history. They were able to study philosophy. And all of these philosophers, the majority of the best philosophers in our history they're all dead. You know, Aristotle, he's dead. Sun Tzu, he's dead. You know, Socrates, he's dead. So a lot of these different philosophers wrote all of these amazing philosophies, and yet they're no longer alive. So people forget that all of these great philosophers that they really look up to are not alive anymore. Where is this? Oh, I just accidentally took out that cactus. Okay. So I'll need to fix that. Whoops. I'm mining underneath the rail line and I accidentally took out the cactus. Okay, so I shall put the sand and the cactus right there. Then I shall grab another pickaxe and I'll get started on the next line. I'll make it look pretty later. Right now I just want to have the surface area revealed. I want to have a good view over the entire area that I'm working in. Because if the silverfish break through the floor, for example, I want to be able to look over and just see where they broke through and then just go handle it. You know, I want to be able to just go ahead and fill it in if I have to. Oh my. This is a lot of lapis. Okay. Get that blue rock. Okay. So yeah, the Greeks, for example, were well versed in the capabilities of stone. So the Greek roads are these massive roads that rely on these gigantic stones, as well as a large majority of their buildings. And that's why their buildings are still intact today, is because the buildings are just so massive and heavy that the stones remain compressed the entire time, causing them to erode less, because the reason that sinkholes usually appear in your road is because a stone will grow and shrink as the weight is, increased and decreased on the stone. So if you have a stone that remains under pressure, the durability of that stone will remain as a constant. If you have the pressure as a constant, then you end up with things such as Stonehenge, where you have this massive structure that is world famous because it lasted for thousands of years and no one knows how you built it. But on top of that, it lasted thousands of years without needing anyone to maintain it, really. There's really very little maintenance that's actually needed for something of that stature, for something of that quality and that size. So the Stonehenge relic is quite interesting in the fact that it requires so little maintenance. But primarily the fascination with Stonehenge is not even the mystical, it's the engineering aspect that gets people the most. Because it's just this massive mega stone structure that nobody could ever build on their own. They have no idea how people built this thing. They have no idea how the stones got put into place. They can theorize, but no one knows for sure how Stonehenge was built, because it's just so big and so old that no one really has any records of how it was formed. Like, people would love to have records of how Stonehenge was formed. People would love to just be able to reference some video and be like, oh yeah, it says it right there in this video. This is how they built it. This is what they used. This is all their materials. Here's the blueprint. And here's how they moved all the materials. They'd love to be able to do that, but they can't, because no one actually knows any of that stuff. They can do radio dating and figure out if, maybe it was this many years old. They can figure out where the stones were pulled out of the ground from. But other than carbon dating and the radiocarbon dating and the paperwork that they may or may not have, I don't really know if anyone has any paperwork on Stonehenge. But other than the paperwork of what they have, they really don't know how a lot of these massive megastructures were built or planned. The pyramids, for example, have 8 sides per pyramid, per half, I should say, because there are inverted pyramids beneath the pyramids, which means they excavated underneath the pyramids all of that area and then built the pyramids twice. They don't tell you about that a lot in school. They don't really mention that one. But yeah, they technically built the pyramids twice, because they built the pyramids and then they built the pyramids again. on top of the pyramids. Because once wasn't enough, apparently. So yeah, your various teachers probably don't have all of the answers, but at the same time, I don't think their teachers had all of the answers either. So for all of these people who go around complaining about the history of things, you really need to remember that writing is a very recent technology. So try not to get too thorough in your accusations, because a lot of the technology that is present that we're familiar with, they had a few thousand years ago without any form of writing or blueprints. Like, they didn't have blueprints. So how did they make all of this stuff? Nobody knows. That's the true answer. Nobody knows. You know, how did they make it? No one knows. That's simple. So that's something to really keep in mind when studying for, history tests, or if you're studying for an exam or something, and you're sitting there wondering, well, how do I find the answer to this? Maybe you should ask yourself, how did they find the answer? Because they must have found the answer at some point, but they're using entirely different techniques with entirely different tools available to them, and yet they managed to somehow find the same answer you're looking for. That should tell you something. And it should tell you something very important, because you want to be able to outperform a majority of these little Turing tests that you're going to encounter as you explore the possibilities that perhaps your professors had no idea how to properly answer the question. Maybe your professor just doesn't know. No one's ever really considered that. A lot of people are just thinking, well, of course they know. They're the professor. Well, how does the professor know? Who told the professor? Where is the professor's information coming from? Not many people actually ask these questions. So, of course, as a result, a lot of people will just blindly believe, oh yeah, of course he knows what he's talking about. And it's like, does he? Does he really? Not many people will sit there and ask. And that's why I tell people, asking questions is important, because it's through questions that you get answers. If you don't ask a question, you don't get an answer. What an amazingly simple equation. Isaac Newton had the same theory. That's why when an apple fell and hit him on the head, he sat there and he went, hey, why'd this apple fall? Now, sure, he may or may not have stolen some other guy's theorem about how gravity works and operates, and he may have gotten, falsely provided credit for the guy's discovery, but it still proves a perfectly valid point. Regardless of who discovered the discovery of, gravity being a universal constant, based on some hidden graviton particle that they didn't even know about. They didn't know about gravitons back then. When they were discovering gravity, they didn't know about gravitons. And you know what? We didn't know about gravitons when we learned it in school either. So there's something to think about. Our entire learning process is this massive, convoluted, strange thing that theoretically really shouldn't exist, because it's just so mixed up and so confusing that I'm not even sure humans actually fully understand the process themselves. And it's our studies, our own study, and we still don't understand it. We still have no idea how it works, how it functions. We have no idea what we're doing half the time, but we still do it. We still manage to make it work, and it still functions. And it's like, how does that happen? How do they do that? No one knows. It's that simple. Nobody knows. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Minecraft. Yeah, I kind of got lost on that whole tangent, didn't I? But yeah, we're making good progress on this lovely mine that I have here. It's coming together nicely. I will be able to very soon drop down the floor if I so desire. I kind of want to drop it down now, but I don't think I will just yet. I think I will finish clearing out the floor first, and then once I've cleared out the floor, then I will worry about the I will worry about the surface area being redone, because I really want to locate where all of these silverfish are hiding. I'm pretty sure there's some silverfish in the wall over there. And of course, I need to make sure that I, for example, don't take out this section too early, like I did over there. Whoops. I have a decent stockpile of iron. However, I really want to make sure that my supply of materials is not stifled by the silverfish, primarily. They are a actual valid concern by this point, because they've just been left unchecked for so long. I have to go and clear out all of the area beneath my base. I have to clear out all of the area above my base. Well, technically my base is the part up above on the surface. I do, however, have to clear out the area around my base. I have to clear out all of the various mountaintops. I have to gather the villagers. Oh god, I still have to gather the villagers. So one of the things that I'm going to need a lot of resources for is transportation of villagers. The way I'm going to transport the villagers is very simple. I am going to use a overground boat. Except I'm going to have to use an aqueduct to do it. So I need to build a boat, which I think I have a boat in one of the villages, specifically with a cleric villager, if I remember correctly. Oop, I'm a little bit hungry. Go ahead and eat. Got some cooked pork chop there, as you can see. Now I'm all fully satiated. Now I can continue digging. So I'm planning on utilizing an aqueduct system in order to transport the villagers to the base. However, first I need to set up the aqueduct system, which means I need to have the materials to build the aqueduct. I will want soul sand, because otherwise I have to basically use pistons to elevate the boat. I can use pistons. I can use slime to craft the required bits and bobs, as it's called. And just basically move them around using pistons. But the primary transportation issues are going to be monster related, as well as distance related. I need to have enough items to be able to actually set up the transport system. Otherwise, it's not going to be a very good transport system. Because, you know, if the road ends halfway to your destination, clearly the road wasn't a very good choice. So I want to have a road that actually extends all the way to my destination from my base. And then I still need to transport the villagers back, so I'm going to want to have water sources that are correctly aimed in the direction that I need them to be, so that I can rapidly transport the villagers to my base, where I will set up a villager trading hall. That being said, I should set up the villager trading hall first, because I will want to A, have somewhere to trade with my villagers, and B, I will want to have somewhere to reproduce the villagers. I want to be able to breed the villagers. So I have a farm where I grow potatoes. I can swap it over to carrots if I so desire, which I will so desire at some point in the future. But I will want a carrot farm for my villagers to enjoy having carrots. Once the farmer villager is full of carrots, if I recall correctly, they will start trying to share their carrots with other nearby villagers in order to increase population, because they have a food surplus. At which point, then the villagers will start increasing in population up to the quantity of beds in the area. I will need to make sure I have plenty of beds, which is where that spider spawner is going to come in handy. So I'm going to need to set up that spider spawner, which will link up to down here, which will allow me to have all of the string that I need to craft into blocks of wool, which I can then craft into beds with some planks, because, you know, you break down a log, you throw in 3 wool, 3/4 of the log, and there you go, you got yourself a bed. It's a shaped recipe, so, you know, you gotta have the wool on top, because that's where the mattress is gonna go. But that's how you build a bed. You know, it's gotta be built in a crafting table, because it's 3 wide for the recipe. And since it's shaped, it can't really go in other formation styles. The shovel itself is a shaped recipe, but it's a shapeless shaped recipe, by which I mean you can craft it using the left grid, middle grid, or right grid. It doesn't really matter which grid you're crafting it in. And the same goes for the bed. You can craft it with the wool in the top 3 rows, or in the top row, the top 3 column lines, or you can use the middle 3 for the wool. However, the wood still needs to be beneath the wool. These factors are very important when you're trying to craft the materials. I could use my diamond pickaxe. However, I want to also get a half-decent enchantment on my diamond pickaxe before I do something like that. But in order to do that, I need to have basically just a bunch of experience as well as a bunch of books. I need so many books. I'm going to need to start breeding cows in order to... Oops. I'm going to need to start breeding cows in order to get leather, which is why it's a good thing that I have all of that wheat. I'll need to convert my potatoes into wheat seeds, because I'll need to basically convert that entire farm back into a wheat farm again in order to supplement all of the leather that I'm going to need. To give you an idea of just how much leather I'm going to need, the YouTuber Grian at one point was sitting there in his base, and he had this massive mega base, right? And it was a beautiful base. It was very big, very open, very spacious. I loved it. It was this great big tower in the middle of the sea, this great big sea monument, basically. And then he went and he decided, okay, I want to have all of my cows producing leather for me. So he went and he... Did I put away my minecart somewhere? I think I did. Oh well. So he went and he, crafted all the hay he could out of all the hay bales that he had, and he had an inventory full of hay bales. And he just bred all of the cows. He even went into his various shulker boxes, and he grabbed the hay out of there, and he bred even more cows, and more cows, and more cows. And finally, he came back from his super hyperspeed, his super hyperspeed mode, and he said, okay, I have run out of wheat. Here's how much leather I have. And he crafted it all into books, and then he crafted the books into bookshelves, and he barely had enough bookshelves to max out his enchanting table's enchantment capabilities. And it's like, wow, that is a lot of enchanting that you can do. But at the same time, that is a lot of cows you just went through. Because he had to then go and, harvest all of those cows in order to provide all of the wool or all of the leather that he needed to craft the enchanting table up to its maximum level, which of course requires 2 bookshelves here, 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 and I think 2 bookshelves there. So you basically have the opportunity to walk in, and you have this little one wide path circling your enchantment table with one block, with one little entrance, a 1 by 1 wide entrance into this little path that's a 3 by 3 grid around this enchantment table. Because the 5 by 5 around it is just bookshelves, except for this one block. And they're too tall, so you can't just jump over the bookshelves, Granted, that is a little bit of overkill, but it still drives home the point. He barely had enough books for his bookshelves to be crafted into the the library that is for the enchanting table. The enchanting table, of course, being great for things such as efficiency, unbreaking. If I wanted to, I could just give all of my pickaxes a bunch of different enchantments. I could give this golden chest plate. What would it give me for the golden chest plate? Oops, not the jack-o'-lantern. Protection 1, or fire protection, or projectile protection. You know, I could give it all of this stuff, but at the same time, this thing is about to break. I don't really need to enchant my armor that badly. Can I enchant the shield? I cannot. Can I enchant my sword? Oh, I can give it smite or sharpness. What about the axe? Smite or sharpness? What about the shovel? Unbreaking or efficiency? The bow is already enchanted, so I can't give it another enchantment. One useful trick that you can use, however, is if you do have a book, just any old book, you can actually utilize that book in order to give yourself the enchantments that you want, because you can enchant the book and then take the book over to an anvil, and the anvil will let you then merge the book into whatever armor or weapon that you're currently utilizing that you want to upgrade. That silverfish noise is really starting to get on my nerves. Yeah. As you can see, I have cleared out a vast majority down here, and you can see where the silverfish damage has occurred, because there's just these wide swaths and veins of cobblestone. The gravel was already there, but the cobblestone is damage that I have repaired from silverfish. So you can really see how the damage adds up and why you want to get rid of all of these silverfish. There's also, of course, the noise reduction that comes with getting rid of all of the silverfish. Yeah. I do plan to actually hunt down all of these silverfish once I get this section of my mining actually cleared out, as well as above. I'm then going to go and hunt down that texture pack, and I'm going to clear out all of these silverfish. This is a good time to mention that if you downloaded the video, remember to make sure that you mark the video as being fully watched, not just having watched it for like 2 seconds, because the YouTube algorithm will mark down how frequently and how long people are watching my videos. So if my videos are very popular, YouTube will tell me. And YouTube will say, hey, this guy needs, more content like this displayed all over YouTube. And then YouTube will go ahead and display my content more. That's why liking the video helps. That's why subscribing to my channel helps. That's why leaving a comment helps, because it shows YouTube that this is trending material and that YouTube should show more of this material, because this is something that is new and fresh and allows people to really understand how to decorate their base effectively with some form of planning, while also making use of things such as the 1.18 blocks, because I know a lot of people struggle with finding a use that integrates for example, diorite into their build. These little white blocks here. people struggle with diorite because diorite is such an underloved block. So few people love diorite, and they say, you either love diorite or you don't. And that's kind of true. You either like the way it's working into the build, or you don't like the way that it works into the build. I like the fact that when you polish diorite, it looks kind of like marble. So I utilize it for that, because diorite kind of looks like marble, at least in Minecraft. That's not to be confused with dolomite, which is the real-world, similarly named stone, which is used in gravel as well as concrete. A lot of concrete uses dolomite, which, if you're wondering where dolomite comes from for all of your various concrete mixing and blacktop and your a lot of different things, I think even including glazed pottery, a lot of it comes from the dolomite mines in Michigan. So, if you know someone from Michigan, make sure you mention to them that you're thankful that they have a state that has such good quality dolomite that it's capable of providing the majority of the concrete available for the United States, just all of the United States. The majority of it is being supported by that massive dolomite mine up in Michigan, which I have visited. I have seen that dolomite mine. I haven't actually toured the premises, but I have seen the dolomite mine. It's real close to the ferry line, so if you're going to want to go out and see it, maybe you're on a road trip or something, you can drive there and you can sit there and say, hey, that looks like a mine over there. And you can just watch them dig up stone. It's really all they do. They just dig stone. It's a very straightforward process. I think they might use some blasting caps. I'm not sure. I would need to actually ask them if I ever wanted to know. That being said, I've not been that curious before, so I've never bothered asking them. But yeah, it's a fascinating process, the way they utilize dolomite and diorite and all these other various sedimentary rocks to create concrete, and yet they never really seem to create enough concrete to generate a stable road network, yet we already know how to do it. The problem is we just don't. Okay, we have these roads that are, very uneven and very, I uncovered diamonds. Okay. But we have all of these roads that are very rudimentarily created, very basic carved roads. And we have all of this material that we use, and yet if we just used the material properly, we would be able to save so much resources. We would not need to repair half of our roads because we'd just do it right the first time. And because of that, we would not need to worry about things such as potholes. Which brings us back to these silverfish. See? You thought I had forgotten about the silverfish. No, I am still angry that these silverfish are making all this noise beneath my mining shaft. But I did find a rather sizable chunk of diamonds. Yeah. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diamonds right here. I'm going to leave that there for now because I want to come back with a... First of all, I want to come back with a pickaxe that can actually mine it. I'm currently using a stone pickaxe, so I can't mine it. Second of all, I want to return with a pickaxe that has fortune. Since now that I have an enchanting table, I can start making books, and then with those books, I can start making like actual enchantments on the books, and then I can start enchanting my pickaxe and getting a better pickaxe. But most importantly, I want fortune. I want a fortune pickaxe. Specifically, I want a fortune diamond pickaxe.